Hello everyone. Welcome to this late night stream, I should almost say. It's not terribly late, but it's later than I usually start these things. But I figured I might want to end this day with a little bit of gameplay programming on stream. Let's make sure I have my audio settings in order before I start yapping properly. So, how's everyone doing today? I have been working on the gripper arm, the gripper truck, and in particular the gripper arm for the gripper truck. So this thing here, which we should probably make that the active one, right? Yes, there we go. So this thing here, which can lift things and sort of throw them in the back of the vehicle like that. Did basically a complete redesign of this today to make it a bit nicer looking and also fix some issues that I was having with the old one. You might see that it's actually not symmetrical anymore, and the point with that is that we can now close this much more than we were able to close the old one. Close it like something like that. I don't remember the exact angle I had there, but actually close it and make it very small, because the problem with the previous one was that I just couldn't lift very small objects, because these fingers here kept sort of touching like that. But then what if you had like a box that was like that small? It just couldn't lift them. So that was a bit of an issue. Now I can actually just I can close it basically as much as I want. There is a limit though, but still. And so it is actually not symmetrical anymore. I think I kind of like that. It looks kind of interesting in a sense. And so now if we mess around with this thing, we can lift some pretty small things actually. Let's load some cargo here. So here's a power cell, something that almost like the old system was kind of like was designed to lift these guys. We can still do that, of course. The sort of gripper or the gripper hand there isn't necessarily just quite exactly modeled to fit around that anymore, but you can still do it, and it is an important thing. Now we can actually lift these smaller boxes, something that we didn't used to be able to do. So make the gripper point towards the ground, and just lift that as well. There's a little bit of jankiness in the movement of the arm there that I'm gonna have to probably figure out what that is about. And you can also lift larger things like that big box over there. Sometimes it looks a little strange when you do that, because like it almost can't really get its fingers around it, but the gameplay code considers it good enough, which I guess makes sense. So kind of do something like that, and then you can just go lift it, and it works just the same. And you can plonk it in the back, and off you go. And so this stuff kind of works pretty well right now. There are a few things though that I would like to add, that I was thinking we might be able to add tonight in tonight's stream. And there's things that I call choreographies, because like basically we need to create almost like small scripts that the system can do. We have one of these things here already with the mother vehicle. So we drag this up here and attach a cable to, let's say, that big thing, the big crate there, right? Something like this. Maybe we can even extend the cable a little bit there. And so now it's lifting that thing, right? Well, now we can actually well, you can't actually call that thing on the radio. You could do that if this was actually like a properly scripted emission, but we can quickly switch to the mother vehicle and press Y. Cargo crane Y. There we go. Now you can see that it's raising up the crane. Actually, it starts by subtracting the cable, it's raising up the crane, and then it's resetting the position. So it's essentially sort of like loading that cargo aboard, even though that box is so big that it kind of gets stuck on the edge there. You can yank it a little bit. Now we have it. Now we have it aboard. And again, if it's like slightly crooked, you can just press Y and it sort of resets itself. So I was thinking we would do the same thing here if we kind of consider this to be, you know, you've just dropped something off, maybe your gripper looks like this, and then you just want to reset it, and while it is resetting you just want to start driving away. You could just press a button here and it would reset the thing to its sort of rest pose like this. This is arguably, not even arguably, this is a simpler case of resetting than the crane, because the crane can be some like pretty wacky poses, and we need to sort of try to get out of those poses without wreaking havoc around us. Resetting the gripper should be pretty straightforward. You just set the arm to reset back to the rest pose, and you open the fingers. And when both of those are sort of done, then we're done. That's one thing. And there's another choreography that I was thinking we would actually make, and it would be essentially, it would start with the same thing. It would start by resetting the pose, and then it would do this. It would grip the thing, it would lift it, and it would drop it in the back, open the fingers, and then go back. So it's sort of like a quick sort of cargo load choreography. And now it would be finished. And of course here we have a bunch of different sort of like fail states and all kinds of all matters of things that can go wrong. Like what if you don't have anything in front of the thing? Then it would just go try to grab something. Okay, we determined there was nothing, and then it would sort of reset and go back. That sort of stuff. So it actually has like failure states and early outs and all of that. But still, you should just be able to press a button and wait a little while, and you will have your cargo sort of loaded. So that should be pretty nice. So press a button, load cargo, throw it in the back, and reset to about there. You can go over the rest post. Now we're no longer at the rest post. Go over the rest post. The rest post is about there. So something like that. I haven't exactly figured out how we're gonna do that, but I think we're gonna probably take a look at the code for resetting the crane and start with the resetting version. And yeah, that thing just falls off there because it's so huge. So let's do that. Let's get rolling, shall we? So I had something called in the cargo crane component. So that's the mother vehicle cargo crane that we just looked at. in this file there is something called the cargo crane. What is it? Here we go. Cargo crane pose resetter. So this is a reasonably simple little type, which you add as a member to the cargo crane. And it has a pointer to the component. And it has a pointer to the arm and to the cable magnet assembly. So the cable magnet assembly sits at the end of the arm, and it has the cable and the magnet, unsurprisingly. And then we have a state, so we have a few states that we need to go through, inactive, and then these need to be carried out in order. So first it retracts the cable, then it resets the position, and then it resets the rotation of the arm, and then it's done. And then it goes back to being inactive. So the resetter for the gripper will be even more simple than this. And let me track some whether or not we have reached some of those things. Position ping pong. All right, yeah, okay. This was actually kind of complicated. It sort of tries to take turns reaching its position if it stands next to something like geometry. Yeah, this is more tricky. We're not gonna concern ourselves with any of that, I think. But basically it just has a start method which resets the thing and sets the state. You can interrupt it at any point, basically by applying some input, and it just goes, oh, okay, I'm gonna stop now. And while it is active, we call pre-tick on it. And we give it some inputs here to actually adjust, because essentially what this thing is doing is it just simulates the player actually resetting the crane themselves, right? So that should be pretty good. All right, let's copy this guy and move it into the gripper truck arm component. Actually, there's just one more thing that I want to check before we start actually hacking this guy, but let's call it gripper truck arm pose resetter. And that would be the gripper track arm component, right? We don't have that. We don't have that. We only have the one component because this is quite a bit simpler this time around. But what I want to check before we actually start poking at that guy is, so this is the cargo crane component itself, and it has a resetter here as the member or a field. And we quite simply create one of those. And in pre-tick we're reading the inputs. So here we can actually see, like, okay, if the state of the resetter is inactive and we want to reset the pose, then we start. If the state is not inactive, check if we are applying normal crane input. At that point we interrupt it. Else we pre-tick it because we're essentially in the progress of resetting, and that is all. That's all we need to do. So it's wonderfully, nicely sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Isolated here in this one place. This whole logic. It's very nice. Let's move that to the side, and we can have a look here. It was in pre-tick. So here we are actually also reading the input, right? Let's see. Pre-tick and apply inputs on the arm. That's only on the server. Right, so here we're reading the inputs. Yes. Exactly. Okay. So what we can do here is do the same sort of thing where we have normal arm, normal gripper arm input applied. That's a boolean, and we initialize it to false. And then we just set that to true here. And then after this, we can do the resetting. So this guy would have a resetter, and it's of type truck. No, sorry, gripper truck. Arm pose resetter. Initialize with default values. And in create, we need to init it so that we can pass it the self pointer here. Might just be able to do that, right? Self. Still think I want the name of the type there. It's pretty cool that you can actually do that. At least it sort of looks like you can. Okay, so the one thing that we are still missing from here is this reset pose, which is like the actual input that toggles that on. So cargo crane reset pose. Yeah. We don't have a gripper arm reset pose. We probably should have that. Yeah, we're mapping it to the Y button. We can perhaps, yeah, but we're using Y already for the other gripper, so that's a little annoying. All right, what do we do instead? Well, I'm just gonna have to map it to something. Am I not? Let's map it to a gamepad input. Input ID. Gripper arm reset pose. Gamepad button. Let's do like D-pad. D-pad right or something. And then the context is gripper arm controls. And then we're gonna have to do the same for the keyboard. Map keyboard input. And here I think we can actually use the same as we do for the cargo crane reset pose. So key code R and context, right? You're supposed to be able to remap these anyway, so everyone can find their favorite if they want. Okay. So now then, reset pose is stored here in a variable, but I don't know if we really need that. Do we really need that? We should just be able to do self context, get input action. It's supposed to be an action and means input ID reset pose. We still need to actually make that an action though. So here, app context, add input ID, gripper arm reset pose, and it's an action. So the way this works is that first you have just a normal enum. Right, yeah, We'll look at that in a bit. First you have just a normal enum with the inputs and the input contexts. And then here in add inputs, you actually register those as actual inputs, and you tell it the enum value, and then you tell it the type of enum. Is it a range? So a floating point number from -1 to 1. Is it an action, which is like a button was pressed and released, or is it the state, which is like is button currently pressed? That's how it works. Right, so we call this normal gripper arm input, like that. And then that is the part that we can't yet actually do because we haven't implemented the pre-tick part. Oh, and this might actually still not build because I think we didn't comment that out or anything like that. Nah, it's just here. But yeah, okay, it doesn't it doesn't complain about it because we're not calling it. But the minute we start to call this guy, it will be confused because it talks about cable lengths and things like that we don't actually have here. But that's fine. Let's make this a bit larger now. So how do we actually do? How do we do the determining how much of sort of like how close we are to the actual goal? So we reset pose retract cable, and we're basically just checking current cable length, and we are checking the initial length, and if they are matching, then we are moving on to the next phase. So that actually looks super simple in that sense. And here we have actually the steering values. So that's a vector 2. The x-axis is the arm rotation, and the y-axis is the finger rotation, essentially. How much of the fingers are like open and closed. So this should actually be just super simple and easy to do. Let's have a look here. We need 2 states. So reset fingers is the one, the first state, and the second one is reset arm rotation. Now we could essentially perhaps make these happen at the same time. Actually, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should just have a boolean here. Is active boolean, initialize it to false, right? We can get rid of that, we can get rid of those. So finger rotation reached and arm rotation reached. Movement speed. Yeah, I think there's actually a fixed movement speed here for the arm. Yeah, arm rotation speed and finger speed. So what you should probably do here is actually make these public so that the resetter can use them, right? So it is something. It's a speed, and then we multiply it by the tick delta time. So arm rotation speed. Let's call this arm rotation speed multiplier. I can actually just be called arm rotation speed 0.2, and then the finger rotation speed. That was 0.4, I think. Arm rot speed would be arm rotation speed times tick delta time. Finger, ringer, ginger speed. What? What am I talking? What am I typing here? Finger rotation speed, like that. And then we do arm rotation, and finger, like that, right? And then we can use the same things here, so we don't need the movement speed at all. The movement speed is there because like the crane can actually be controlled with the analog controls, so you can move it very slowly or very quickly. And so there's no fixed speed to actually rotate by. Let's see, finger rotation reached, arm rotation reached, and there's no position ping pong at all. Let's put up these prints. Start resetting the gripper truck arm. There we go. So if, let's see, if state is not inactive, then we set it to 0 so that we can then reset it, right? Okay. Yeah, and here we don't have, these inputs are not actually what we want. We want the arm rotation, and we want the finger rotation. And essentially we want them both to be set to 0. That's what we want. But we can't set them to 0 immediately, or it will actually snap to that position and probably make the whole vehicle jerk very violently. So let's not do that. Instead, what we will do is we will calculate that same rotation speed. So let's go to pre-tick again. Like that. And we're gonna need the tick delta time here. And then we're going to be using the gripper truck arm component arm rotation speed, as well as the finger speed. And there we go. Hey, Cacti Crown, welcome back. What's happening? All right. So this should be now relatively simple. First of all, we need to detect if the rotation is close enough to 0. So we can do that by doing. I think I'm using my own. Yeah, basis math floats almost equal, and with an epsilon value given. Epsilon is like 0.05 or something. That might have to be tweaked. So if arm rotation, and that's given as a pointer, so we need to dereference it. Epsilon. I'm kind of getting used to writing my constants with an uppercase. So let's do that here as well. So if the arm rotation is, close enough to 0, then we actually set it to 0. So if it's almost 0, we set it to exactly 0, and then we do self arm rotation reached. And if not, rotate arm here. And then we can do the same thing for finger rotation. Like that. Rotate fingers here, right. And then if self dot arm rotation reached and finger rotation reached. Self active false. Gripper arm now reset. Alright, something like that. Maybe rest position reached is even better, like I had previously. Right. The fingers should be very simple. They can never go below 0. Well, they can probably go below 0 if they are above 0 and we sort of subtract a value from it. It can go below 0, in which case we should actually do finger rotation less than 0 and detect that and just set it to 0 if it happens to go, you know, past that. But like in normal cases, it can never be, the player cannot set it to below 0 ever, because it is clamped between 0 and 1. And actually what we want to do is opening the fingers. So this is open fingers. We quite simply subtract the value from it. So finger rotation is finger rotation minus finger speed, like that, and then again we clamp it to that. So this should, it kind of never happen, but like we can keep it there. It shouldn't be an issue. The arm can go below 0 though, like we just saw. You can actually sort of point the arm towards the ground. So if arm rotation is above 0, then we do sort of the same thing, but for the arm itself. And let's see, rotate forward. Really? What? I was thinking rotate forward would actually go towards 0 here. Do I have this maybe backwards? So forward is that, and this is backward, right? But it might actually be that I have them the wrong way around. In which case we shall flip them. Because I think, oh, build failed. What? No name. Right. Right. So is active. If it is not active, then we can start it. And we have the same thing here. Is active false. And here it is quite simply true. Yep. Let's move this off to the side so we can actually see what it writes there. So, yeah, look at that. I have them the wrong way around. Forward is backward and backward is forward. Isn't that stupid? Actually, I think I have... Oh, that's the same vehicle. think I've actually had the thought here that yeah, so this the right trigger here sort of lowers that thing on the old gripper, and the left one brings it back, and it's the opposite thing here. Which means that you quite simply need to set that to backward and that to forward. So very simple fix. I'm just checking here that this now sort of makes sense with my inputs here before I move on to fixing up the resetter. So if we have this brings it backwards, this brings it forwards. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I've been a little confused with this input, and I think that this kind of explains it, because the old one was the other way around. So it makes perfect sense that I've actually been a little bit confused about that. So anyway, this sort of thing we want to put here, and so if the arm rotation is larger than 0, we want to actually subtract from it. Else we want to add to it. Right. I think that looks good. And then the only thing that's left to do is to hook this up. And here now then we have, see what does this thing want? Tick delta time. Arm rotation, this would be, let's see, it wants a pointer. Okay. So what we want to do here is we want to get the steering values, SV as it's called. SV is already gotten here. Should be able to use it just directly, I think, because if this thing has been updated here during this function, then this will be set to true right here. If it is not updated, then we will run this pre-tick, because we have this if here. So that makes perfect sense. We can quite simply do address of steering values X, address of steering values Y. And then we need to set those steering values like so. And now I think this thing should only run on the server actually. And I think the resetter only ran on the server here on the cargo component as well. So we're inside like an if on server check here. So let's just do that as well here. Server is the thing that runs that logic. Oh, we're doing the same here. Okay, then that doesn't matter. It's all the same. It's all the same. Somehow I remembered that it would read the input on the client as well, but evidently not. Alright, let's try this thing out. So I have this thing here. I can close that. And if I press, look at that. Whoop, whoop. Okay. That didn't quite work. Well, first of all, if I have it here and then I press that, I can stop the thing and I can interrupt it. Should be getting some nice output there. However, it kind of looks like that doesn't work. And why does it not work? Well, it doesn't work because default arm rotation steering value is not 0, it's that thing. It is that thing. Let's make that a public value, and then we can actually check against that. So gripper truck arm component, that thing. Right. There we go. That should be good, but I think we need to lower this epsilon even further. Let's make it like half of what it was. Because you can see actually with both the fingers and the arm that it kind of snapped there in the end. So it might actually be that we have to do it even, make it even lower. So now then, if we okay, now I'm just confused by these inputs. Yeah, you can see it sort of kind of snaps a little bit there at the end, and in fact the whole vehicle kind of rocks a little bit. It snaps, yoink. That's unnecessary. We don't need that. So let's add a separate arm epsilon here. Arm epsilon is like maybe that, and then finger epsilon. So arm epsilon would be there, finger epsilon there. That should be better. Yeah, that's much nicer. So you can reset it when it's above, and you can reset it when it's below. And if you're doing something like this, where it's like as far as it can be from the front, now we can just start. Oh, you can't actually. Oh, what? Let's try that again. So start the resetting, go to driver. Yeah, okay. Yeah, you can actually start driving already while it is resetting the thing, which is of course one of the nice things about this, that if you have delivered something and dropped it off, and then your gripper arm is kind of like this, and then you want to head off to pick up the next thing, you can just start resetting, and then off you go. Cool, so that's the reset done. That's the simpler choreography done, right? And we have the other one, which is considerably more complex. But it actually starts with the resetting of the thing. You know, unless of course the thing is already reset. You can see here that we're starting resetting the gripper truck arm, reset position reached, rest position reached immediately. So that works as well, and that is something that we will want to have when we do this now. So what do we call this thing where it does like a full full picking up of cargo and dropping in the back. Let's call it something like quick cargo pickup choreography. Right? Something like that. I think that should be good. We call this quick cargo pickup choreography. QCPC. That's weird. I'm just gonna call it by its full name, and we have to initialize it here as well. Self, like that. And then maybe we'll do the input thing here. So I was thinking we wouldn't necessarily make a sort of bespoke input ID for this particular thing. Instead, we would do something called like a quick action or something like that. And depending on what you are doing, which vehicle you have, the quick action might look, you know, different. If you have a gripper truck, then the quick action is to do like a quick pickup of the cargo. Right? I think that makes sense. Luckily, we can at least I think we can sort of map the input, the same input in different input contexts. At least I think that is possible. Wonder if I've ever done that. That's just the same input context. Well, let's give it a go. Let's give it a go and see what happens. So again, we go to inputs and we add. What do we call this now? Maybe like vehicle camera interaction. World interaction controls. When is that actually like added? When game started. World interaction controls. Vehicle camera controls. Yeah, I was thinking here like what sort of input context do we want to add this to? We can add it to the gripper arm controls, but gripper arm controls are only they're only actually active when we have the gripper roll active. So we have this roll menu here. I need to click it with the keyboard so that I can show you this while moving the mouse. So we have driver, gripper arm, and truck bed. These three. So now we have the gripper arm controls active. We can move the gripper arm, and we can move the fingers. We can't actually drive the vehicle. Now we can drive the vehicle, but we can't move the gripper arm. That makes sense. But what if we wanted to have this quick action work in both driver and gripper arm mode? Which input context should that go to? And that's where I'm thinking that like maybe the world interactions could be a good one. Or then alternatively, we'll map it to both the driving controls and the vehicle driving controls and gripper arm controls. That way it should work in both of those contexts. But yeah, I have no idea actually. Driving. Let's just add it somewhere and see where that takes us. I'm gonna call this quick action. Something like that. So like I'm assuming here that this will work with multiple contexts, and we're gonna have to see if it actually does. But what we can say for sure is that this guy is going to be an action. So I'll add it here. Add input. Input ID. And it's an action. And then we can map it to gripper arm controls. Let's add it here to the gamepad controls. Gamepad button input, put ID, quick action, gamepad button, left thumb, I think, and then context. Let's do a keyboard input for that as well here. What do we map it to? I have no idea actually. L, key L, is that used for anything? Left shift, left shift, left shift. Yeah, no key L, so let's keep it like that for now at least. So that's a gripper arm controls, but we also want it to be working in vehicle driving controls. So let's just do that here as well. And then what we can do is we can do gripper truck arm component and go to pre-tick, which is around here. And we'll do if self context get input action. That would be means input ID quick action. Quite simply print it. You can do even do maybe debug overlay. What's it called? Debug trace. There we go. Quick action. Something like that, so that we can just see if it actually works and in which input contexts it does work. Alright, so quick action does work in the driving. Now I was stupid, I clicked it so many times that I can see when I get any more. You can see that it does work here as well. It should not work in truck bed, and indeed it does not. But it does work in and the driving. So that's cool. So quick action can then be used for basically anything that the game is like, oh, okay, you have this kind of vehicle. This kind of vehicle can do this choreographed thing, or just like, you know, whatever. Maybe it can mean something or not, depending on the vehicle. For this vehicle, it means the vehicle tries to load a piece of cargo. All right, that's good. That's like the whole input thing solved for tonight, at least. Let's untangle my headphone cable here. So, okay. This time around we're gonna need an honest to God state machine here, because otherwise it's gonna be tricky to keep track of where we actually are. So no is active anymore. Right, that needs to be above. We can have this state here, state, and we set self state to inactive. And these need to be carried out in order. So the first one is like reset to rest pose. Right, that is the first thing that we need to be able to pick up something. Let's actually play this quickly and see, kind of make a note here for ourselves. Let's say that we have a bit of cargo here on the ground. And can I... Let's just move it down like that. Okay, so we say this is the starting state. So the first state that we need to do is reset to rest pose. We can do this here with our new system like that. Boom. When that is done, we want to squeeze the fingers essentially. So close fingers. Close fingers is the second one. So that here. Close fingers. Like that. And closing the fingers actually makes it so that we detect if we are actually lifting something, such as this power cell here. The system actually knows when to stop, you know, closing, when to stop squeezing. So that's cool. At that point, we need to move arm back. So that's the next one. Move arm back. And then release. Bloops. Like so. Release. Or open fingers. Open fingers. Move arm to rest pose. So we have a few of these that are sort of like kind of, well, essentially those last two, open fingers and move arm to rest pose, is the same as reset to rest pose. But we don't want to do them simultaneously. Like if I have this like here, and then I do reset to rest pose, it immediately starts moving that back. We don't want that. We actually want it to first open them fully. If we have some large object there, we want to give it a little bit of time to fall down. And now we want to reset to rest pose. Like that. And now we're done. And in essence, we can do the same thing here. Reset to rest pose second. It will just work, but basically it's move the arm to rest pose is what we actually want. So maybe we'll just keep it like that. Okay. These things. When we're closing the fingers, if we have reached a fully closed state and there was no object detected, so if we start by resetting the thing and then we start closing the fingers and then we go like chunks, now we're as closed as we can get. There was nothing in the claw, nothing in the gripper. Then we need to reset the rest pose, essentially. Let's call this, I'm gonna copy that. Let's call this move to rest pose and reset to rest pose. Right, they're essentially the same, but they're kind of conceptually different. Moving to rest pose is like move there so that we can then start doing things, and reset to rest pose is then like, okay, we're done, so move back. And if we're closing the fingers and we don't find anything, then we're jumping to reset to rest pose. If no gripped object, jump to reset to rest pose. I think that is kind of the, that's kind of the whole flow. As far as I see it. And the interface will look exactly the same. So arm rotation, finger rotation. Should be able to just hook in this thing here already. Let's see. So here's the resetter. So we can do this. We can do if self what's it called, quick cargo pickup choreography is active. What? That shouldn't be the case. Oh, I put it in the wrong. Oh, that's annoying. I started modifying the wrong one. Well, that's a quick fix, but still, such a stupid mistake. Right. So here we have is active true, and here we have is active false. Right, like that. And here we have state is move to rest pose, and here we have state is inactive. That should be better. So now state, if state is actually if state is inactive and we are reading the input, let's see if CLS agrees with me that that's a good thing to actually line break on. Then we can do self quick cargo pickup choreography start else we do the thing again with where we like if normal gripper arm input is applied, then we interrupt it. Otherwise we pre-tick it and then we set the updated values to steering values, driving the thing, right? We can take that away. Okay, does that build first of all? Probably not actually, because it will, yeah, absolutely, it has this thing going. Alrighty then. So start quick pick up cargo choreography. And quick pick up cargo choreography. Well, wick interrupted. Right, something like that. Let's see. Finger rotation reached, arm rotation reached. We're gonna have to track some of this stuff, just like we did for the previous one. Actually, I wanna rename those. So fingers in rest pose and arm in rest pose. And maybe we can actually use that nice renaming thing here. Which kind of tends to work these days. Arm in rest pose. Yep. And then we'll want to have crypt object bool equals false. Well, actually, we don't want that. We don't need to track that separately because we can just ask the component if it has crypt an object. Yeah, so that's probably actually completely fine. Yeah, those two will suffice for this. Now then, let's do a switch case where we do self.state. So just like we have there on the right, if we're doing inactive things, we don't do anything. Move to rest pose. That's the initial one. We do things. Can we have it fill in those things for us? Probably not. Go to rest pose, close fingers, add a bunch of these here. So close fingers, move arm back, open fingers, and then a reset to rest pose was the last one, right? All except inactive need to do something. And here I'm thinking that maybe we actually want to take one of our resetters here. And actually use it for the resetting phase. Right? Wouldn't that make sense? Resetter, init, component, like that. So if we interrupt this, we also need to interrupt the resetter if it is, you know, actually doing something. Is all the code in one language? No. No. This is Zig, the Zig programming language. The game is written in Zig, but the game engine is actually written in C++. And if I was to start this project today, I would probably write it all in Zig. But since I'm using my engine that I've created many years ago, I can't do that. But I like Zig a lot these days, so I tend to want to write as much as I can in it. Right, so if we start this now, we actually want to start the resetter, right? That's what we want to start. And then here in move to rest pose, we basically check if self resetter is active. If it is not active anymore, then we can move on to the next state, which would be, how do I do it here? I just set the next state. Yeah, self state would be close fingers, right? So that's a pretty easy one. A little bit of tea. Let's print stuff here, because it's just super nice to see, especially if it's doing something strange later on. It's very nice to see what has actually happened. Oh, that thing is actually printing it already. All right, moving to close fingers. Right, and then in close fingers, what we want to do is basically do this, but the other way around. So we want to open the fingers. Actually, no. We want to close the fingers. Yes, this is closing the fingers. Maybe I should make a function for that, but before we do that, though, we want to check. Oh, my screen is flickering here. I don't know if my GPU driver died or something. Let's hope it doesn't affect the stream. Okay, if self.component dot grip joint. Or actually, maybe we can call gripped object name hash get is not 0. Then we have gripped an object gripped, moving to, or transitioning to move arm back, right? Otherwise we'll keep squeezing those fingers. And if we are at 1.0, actually we can probably do it after this guy. If finger rotation is larger than or equal to 1.0 for some reason, then, you know, we didn't find any no grippable object found. Jumping to reset to rest pose, right? All right, and again we want to reset. We want to start the resetter at this point. Oops, and this thing will look actually very similar. So inactive, rest position reached, deactivating, something like that, right? So transitioning to move arm back and jumping to rest reset to rest pose. Well, we still have to set those actual things. So here we go. Set that to move arm back. And here we set this to reset to rest pose. And moving the arm back essentially means moving this to, I think it's that one. Let's have a look here actually. So 1 is fully backward, 0 is fully forward. Fingers open amount, 1 is fully closed, 0 is fully open. Yes, so that makes sense. So if we have reached if arm rotation is larger than or equal to 1, then we do arm moved fully back, and then just transitioning to open fingers. And open fingers is of course the opposite of this. So we subtract from that, and we don't actually want to go all the way to 0. We want to go to whatever it was called. It's this gripper truck arm component default arm rotation steering value. Right. So just that part. But actually maybe we'll do let's see, it's this part here. Here we go. That's a better way to do it. So arm rotation, we check if it's close enough to this guy. If it is close enough to this guy, and we don't actually need those because we're using the resetter here, which has its own version of those. Right, so we don't need that. Here we can quite simply oh, sorry. I'm being bad at my job again here, right? This is what we actually want. That's what we actually want. So move arm back. Arm moved fully back. But this is now supposed to be 0. I'm being even worse at my job. I changed my mind actually. I think this is probably quite okay, because we're actually increasing the thing here, and the highest value that it can go is 1.0. So this check here is actually completely fine. What I actually want to take from this is the finger logic. So open fingers is right here, and we want to check if the finger rotation is at 0, which, because we looked here that fingers 0 means fully open. Then if we are at 0, or again for some reason we've gone below it, this is where we are happy to start resetting the pose. Self state, reset to rest pose, and again we want to do this. Basically, we want to do all of that. Bloops. fingers fully opened. Transitioning to reset to rest pose. Yeah, okay. And we don't need that. We only need the one here in the else clause. Okay, let's get rid of that. I think this should now basically be the whole thing. Arm epsilon, we don't use that. I think we perhaps shouldn't we? No, we don't, because of the reasons I just said there earlier. So okay, we can take that away. Finger epsilon we do use. And lots of debug output. That's always nice to have. Okay. So let's see what this gives us. So first of all, if I now click this, I don't get anything. That's not good. Start quick, pick up cargo choreography. Okay, we have something funky here. Okay, why is it outputting that all the time? Doesn't need to do that. Okay, right, so we need to do this, right? We need to do the quick action reading here, there, and that should just be like that, right? All right, let's have a look. Start pick up car choreography. Start resetting the gripper truck arm. Okay, what is actually happening here though? It should be pre-ticking. It kind of looks like it is. Let's see if we can jump into it. Yep. So what's the state? Self state is moved to rest pose. Okay, close fingers. Rest position reached, transition into close fingers. Yeah, I don't see that in the output though. Oh. You know what? We forgot to add. What we forgot to add here? We forgot to add self.resetter.pretick. Tick delta time, arm rotation, finger rotation. This needs to be ticked in a few places. So there. And those are just starts. Yeah. So that's good. Deactivate things. What? Yeah, that should fix it. That should fix it. Okay, let's see. So, yoink. Burp. Look at that. It's just doing things. So what do we get? Start quick, pick up cargo choreography. Start resetting the gripper truck arm. Rest position reached. This is reported by the actual resetter. And then the choreography goes rest position reached, transitioning to close fingers. No grippable object found. Jumping to reset to rest pose. Start resetting the gripper truck arm. Rest position reached. Those are again the resetter, and then that's the choreography thing. But now, see what happens if we do load cargo on spawn cargo on ground, and then click whoop. Whoa! No, bad truck. Bad truck. Don't do that. Okay. That's not good. Right, okay. Yeah, the problem is here. So we're closing the fingers here. That's adding to the finger value. And let's see, close fingers. You see here we're closing the finger rotation here completely correctly. But then we would essentially need to check this as well. Okay. The grip is tightening. See if we should get a grip around an object. So what we could do here is actually extract this code out into a public function on the component. That would, just like this, would return true if we actually got something. So we can do pub fn try to grip object self, and this would return a boolean if it succeeded in doing that. What's up with the formatting? Oh, there it is, of course. So return false here, return true here. Try to grip object, and then we just basically put it here. This doesn't need to use the value for anything, so we need to do that basically. But the this thing needs to use it, and it basically needs to replace. Where was the thing here? Yep, so if self component dot try to grip object gripped, like that. So now it shouldn't try to crush that like an empty can of Coca-Cola or something. Cargo on ground. Okay, grip. Whoop. Hey, look at that. It's doing it all on its own. Oh no. Yeah, damn it. Okay. Just like the grip is detected when we are closing the fingers. The grip is actually released when we are opening the fingers. So we need to do the same thing here, right? Let's call it try to release grip. it's basically that thing. And so we can do like false here if it didn't have anything, and it can be true. Actually, let's not. Let's just have it do it. If it has one, release grip. Yeah, release grip is probably fine. So self release grip. Bloop. We take that guy, and then when we have moved the arm fully back, we release the grip. So releasing grip and transitioning to open fingers. What? All right, it's called component release grip. Now then, load cargo on ground. Boink. Look at that. Fully automatic. And we can even I can even do it from here. That's the cool part. I don't need to mess around with those rolls at all. I can just drive here and go like please grab that box for me, then I can continue driving. Yeah. This is the future. This is the future right here. Let's grab that little thing. Actually, I don't know if we can grab that little thing with it. Might not be possible because it can't actually sort of reach it. You need to do it yourself. Here, burp, burp. Yeah, so there's a bug. Yep. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that doesn't work. So we were already... we already had a grip. You can see that... okay, now I can't even let go of it. You can see that we already had a grip on something. So basically what we need to do here as the very first thing is if we have... If we have a grip on something, we need to release it here, right? Should that actually be baked into the resetter itself? I think it should, like so. I think it actually should, because now if we do this and we grab that thing and we move it up and then we want to reset it, it should just let go of that thing. Yeah, okay, that's better, so blip, load that for me, would you? Nice. Feels like I have a computer system here in my car now, managing some of these things. So now I can do this. I can yoink that up, and then I can press the action, and now it sort of tries to do the quick action there, but fails. I can do it myself instead. Yeah, that's fair. I think it's like those special cases you can probably handle yourself. There won't be that many objects that you need to lift up of that size anyway. This one you can just go bloop, pick up the thing for me please, and you can already move on to the next one. How cool is this? Not sure how well it kind of comes through on video, how just absolutely useful this is, because now I can just drive the vehicle somewhere and go like bloop, pick up that thing for me while you're doing it. I don't have to wait for and choose different modes and all of that crap. And yeah, the thing gets full pretty quick. Hey Matt, what's happening? I just made this vehicle 100 times better. At least 100 times better. You can make a choreography for dumping the cargo as well, but I'm not sure that I'll want to do that right now. I think I might only want to have like maybe one of these kind of quick actions here. I also have only one of those buttons mapped to it currently. No mode switching. Yeah, you can still do the mode switching, and you might have to do it in some special cases if you do some like here for example. Let's see. Reset the crane. Crane resetting was also done today. Actually, let's just show you. I don't know how long you've been in the stream and what you've seen. Is the general changes specific to this vehicle? It is. It's not really a change. Nothing has changed. I've just added a feature, so you can do like all of the things that you've been able to do previously. So you can control this just like you've been able to do. First of all, I added a reset functionality to this, so you don't have to do it by hand. But then there's a function here called a quick action, which for this vehicle does a little bit of a dance, choreography and dance, in that you can run this quick action even in the driving mode. You just drive up to an object, and now if I just click the left thumbstick, it will load the thing and throw it in the back like this, and then reset. And while it is doing it, you can drive around like so, and it has some fail safe, so like if it doesn't detect anything, it just goes back. But this thing doesn't work necessarily with all object types. Like this little red box here is so small that from the rest pose actually doesn't hit it. You can see. Tries to find it. I didn't hit anything, so I'm just gonna go back to my rest pose here. So in this case, you need to go into the gripper arm mode and collect it yourself. And you can see that I redesigned the actual gripper a little bit so that they can sort of interleave those sort of fingers there. So now I can pick up these very small things as well. And then we just reset the thing. Go back to driver mode and position this thing a little better. like this. Can you tilt the cargo bed but not open it? Absolutely, yes. And I just actually did that. Yeah, you can do this. Bloop. Not sure if that's gonna be enough room for that, but I think you might very well have that many objects there. I think so, yes. Anyway, driver, pick up that thing and immediately start driving away. Just throw it in the back. Throw it in the back. Sorry, I just started watching. Absolutely no problem at all. I kind of wasn't really planning on streaming today, but I figured, yeah, this is stuff that I can pretty well do on stream, so might as well. Yeah, I just instinctively go to that menu, but I don't need to do that anymore. I can just quick action myself away here. So let's go to the depot. Let's end today's stream with a little bit of trying out this feature. Let's go to the depot level. Comment that out. Neat stuff. It is very neat stuff. It is the thing that should have been in the game already for pre-alpha Alpha 1, but you will get to play this this vehicle in pre-alpha 2. You get to play the demo mission with this, which means that you can essentially drive around that level and find the power cells. I need to do a little bit of scripting. That's why we can't test that right now. I need to do a little bit of scripting to make the mission actually work with this vehicle. But yeah, you should be able to just like drive around that. I don't know if this thing actually fits in the monorail, and if it doesn't, I'm actually not going to fix it. But it might fit in the monorail. It is quite a bit larger than the Scout, though. Yeah, now we come here. Here should be quite a number of these guys. Yeah, so we have three of those small boxes here. I'm gonna quick load them all into the back. And you need to wait for that thing to have the space to lift up that thing. So if you sort of drive too quickly here like this, then when that thing comes crashing down, it will actually actually lift you up into the air. And now you're stuck. Luckily, that's not really an issue. And this should even work if you do this. It should even work now, because it should start by resetting the arm. So if we do clickety click, and then just drive forward a bit. Ah, it's so nice. So very nice. And we should probably be able to fit this guy as well. Let's try it. Yeah. Yeah. It was quite clear that people weren't super excited about the gripper from pre-alpha 1. Well, this should more than enough make up for that, I think. I hope. That remains to be seen, of course. I shouldn't put words into your mouths, but... Oh no! Couldn't quite manage to to lift it yeah, it doesn't make it fully automatic still, which is I think is a good thing. Yeah. Sometimes it kind of you wonder how in the world did it actually lift that thing, but that's part of the fun. Lift that, yeah, stuff like that. Some of those ray casts need to be tweaked a little bit. Let's add some of those boxes. Let's see if it manages to pick those up. Maybe some power cells. A few more of those number 2s. Yeah, I'm also planning on making the cargo crane a bit easier to use. So this thing combined with that should make the gameplay just much simpler to use overall. Yeah, the back of this vehicle gets full pretty quick. Let's tilt this and see what we can do about it. Yeah, I'm just gonna dump it here so that I have more space to mess around with this. Move back. But just as you know, for the purpose of driving around collecting things, this is now about as easy as it can get, without being, you know, completely brain dead. I feel. I don't want to make it completely brain dead. It should still feel very sort of physical and you know, deep to some extent. Because now we can go like, okay, I need to give a bit more space to be able to load that third box. Let's move it down. And now just do this. Yoink. Yeah. Hey. All right, nice. Yeah, I think this is definitely an improvement now. There are some issues still that I need to solve with this, such as what happens if let's go to even ground here. We can put down power cell here, for example. Whoa, not inside the car, thank you very much, but something like that. And then I raise the bed fully, like that. What happens now if I try to load it? Yeah, that's a bit stupid. I mean, it might be considered sort of the player's own fault if they do that, but now you might get into trouble. Yeah, now you're shooting it away. So I think like at least the quick loading choreography might have to detect that the bed is too high up and not load it or something. That might be a way to solve it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see. Whoa. Oh, the center of mass was maybe a bit too high there. But hey, that's this game. That is what this game is about. Try to drive without having things fall out. And now at least loading them back in is super easy. Super easy without being too easy. Alright, let's get that. There we go. All my precious things are back. Oh no, oh no. Ah. It's a whole art to be able to drive fast with cargo on these crammy dirt roads. Oh, I was a little bit too fast with my loading there. I can't quite reach it. Probably because of how the ground is positioned. But if that is the case, then you just do this. Go here, ripper arm downwards, and I'm confused now since I flipped those inputs. Oh, you know what we should do? You know what we should do? And something even better than this. If you are, if you press the auto load cargo thing, and you have a gripped object, now it just goes back to the reset pose. But of course, it shouldn't do that. It should actually load the thing that you have that you have in there. Losing my voice. I mean, that's just such an obvious thing to do, right? So now if we have this, yeah, let's make that change still today. If we have this tiny little box thing here, and you can't actually lift this with the quick loading because it just grabs at nothing. So if you do this and grab the box and lift the box, and now if you click quick load, it kind of goes back here and then it tries to do it, and that's just stupid. Yeah, so it should just directly jump to the let's see, to move arm back. Right, yes. So, right, trying to get my voice back here. Let's check here. If self component gripped object name hash is not null, then we do the new thing. Otherwise, we do the same old thing. And the new thing is, of course, state move arm back. So basis print script object, or let's do this already gripping object, jumping to move arm back, right, like so. That's such an obvious improvement. But for some reason I hadn't considered that. This vehicle always gets stuck in this slope. Yeah, it's the age-old differential question again. Right, so small box. Grip that thing. Move it here, and now if we press quick thing, it loads it for us. Load it for us. Yeah. Excellent. That's really neat. Now I'm even more excited about getting this build into your hands. But we're not quite there yet. A little more to go. Actually, quite a lot more to go, but but it gets better all the time. Anyway, guys, I think this was it for today's stream. This was a good stream. I did basically exactly what I wanted, and it works basically exactly as well as I hoped. So not bad at all. Not bad at all. I might stream some more tomorrow, depending on what happens. I think it's actually a holiday here in Finland tomorrow, maybe elsewhere as well. But sooner or later anyway. So if this is cool, be sure to subscribe, like, join the Discord to get to play the build. All of the usual jazz. Have an excellent rest of your evening, and see you next time.